could not be more excited about this #1 ranked Wildcats team.
When you watch Kentucky, a lot of people looking for chinks in the armor. To me, it's about chasing greatness. The start they're off to, especially on the defensive end, Dave, has been outstanding.
And they look like the #1 team and then some through these first few weeks of the season. There's Towns, the ultra-talented freshman, wide open, and he makes the first basket of the game.
Always has had that in his arsenal. In fact, he's grown into more of a low-post player early in his Kentucky career.
So now the Friars have the ball for the first time. Cartwright, the freshman, gives it up to Chris Dunn. Great news for Providence that he is healthy enough to play this game. He's a difference maker.
Well, he is. He's a big, strong point guard, averaging 7 assists a game.
Ed Cooley, fourth year. The overall record not great, but the program trending in the right direction. They got to the NCAA tournament last year, off to a nice start this season.
Perfect guy for the job. Grew up in Providence, spent his entire basketball career in New England. And
as the Wildcats head coach, and hard to beat here at Rupp.
Well, he really is, and they're going to be hard to beat everywhere this year. It's a juggernaut type of team. 9 McDonald's All-Americans, obviously.
You watch them play early, you watch them in practice, you just wonder who could beat these Wildcats. Towns again with the left hand scores his second early basket.
Now, if you're Providence right now, the key is to just play this game every 4 minutes. You got 10 4-minute games, and you just want to hang around. Give yourself a chance in the second half.
Here's Harris, Fran, on the perimeter. And they do have one of the top scorers in the country. They're going to need a lot from number 23, LaDonte Henton.
Well, he's had an explosive start. Nice pick and roll right there.
DeRozier, though, missed the dunk.
DeRozier would have been better off just laying that ball in. Connecticut, the Hall of Fame Classic, where he dropped 38 on Notre Dame in the final.
It was an impressive performance against a pretty good Notre Dame team.
Well, no question. And the game before that, they throttled Florida State, a team that I had high hopes for, who has got out of the gate very slowly right now.
Well, Henton at the moment is being guarded by Willie Cauley-Stein, the 7-footer. Which is an interesting matchup here at the start of the game. Well, Providence just running half-court offense. That's another turnover. And the outlet to Harrison. He will lay it in.
This is not the start that Providence needed. If anything, when you're in a street fight with a heavyweight champ, you want to deliver the first punch. They've been unable to do that so far.
This is really the first touch for number 23, LaDonte Henton. He had to give it up immediately. Dunn off the dribble, finds DeRozier, the big man, hits a three.
He can do that. The transfer from Wake Forest back home in New England. And if he can make some shots, that will stretch Kentucky's defense a little bit. They have so much size.
And the defensive numbers, we'll get into this as the game goes on, so far are just dominating. Poitras from the baseline. Rebound Dunn.
Well, the big thing is they defend the rim so well. The block shot rate is astronomical at about 27%. That means 1 out of every 4 two-point field goals are being blocked on the part of the opponent.
And you might have noticed up off the bench, the second unit, the second 5 getting ready to come in the game. And more tough half-court defense here for the Wildcats. Chris Dunn, who's much more of a passer than a scorer. Harris, too strong. DeRozier, though, a nice tap out.
Nice play. Good play by Carson DeRozier. Chris Dunn was a former high school, well, he wasn't a high school All-American, McDonald's All-American. And he's always reminded me a little bit of Gary Payton, big, strong point guard. Not quite the same college numbers to this point because he has nursed some serious injuries.
Had a real hard time staying healthy. What a move by Tyler Harris, attacking the shot blockers at the rim. So after a rough first couple minutes, Providence feels like they're settling in. Down by a point, Kentucky basketball. Willie Cauley-Stein on the block. DeRozier, pretty good defense. He scores anyway.
Very nicely done. Watching practice the last couple days, I think some people would be surprised at how much time Kentucky spends on basic fundamentals. They do a lot of stuff near the paint with their post players offensively. We saw a good example of it right there.
Here's Dunn using a screen and a nice bounce pass. The big man, though, pinned underneath, scores against Towns.
Now, this is a little more like it in terms of the tempo that Ed Cooley wants. It's like they may have gone to, well, they haven't gone zone yet, but they will.
Aaron Harrison a little too strong. Rebound Harris.
Expect the Friars to play a lot of 2-3 zone. It was a defense that was very good to them at the end of last season on that great Big East tournament title run.
And against this incredible size and depth down low of Kentucky, you figure that could help neutralize some of that. So far, Cauley-Stein has just been all over LaDontae Henry. Shot clock winding down for Dunn. The crossover move and the pass tipped by Cauley-Stein. Out of the open court, the big man misses the layup.
Chris Dunn needed to drive that ball. He could have gotten to the basket. Stein was so concerned with Henton that he actually played into Cauley-Stein's hands right there.
I mean, I guess in a way you appreciate a kid who maybe is a little too unselfish, because this group has been in a lot of ways just as productive.
Well, and keep in mind, one of the reasons is they get to play against a tired starting five usually. You know, they come in fresh, and meanwhile, right now for Providence, I'm looking at, well, 3 starters. Bentel and Lindsey are in the game, 2 promising freshmen.
Yeah, Jalen Lindsey, who also has been beat up with his ankle. A near turnover. Somehow Providence saves it. They throw a lob, and the finish by Harris.
Oh, you can't do that.
Wide open. Booker, who's been so hot, missed that shot, but an offensive rebound for Kentucky.
There's the 2-3 zone we talked about. This is like having a pretty good fastball, you're man-to-man. This 2-3 zone is a good curveball.
There's Lee with the left hand. Not a great low post scorer. Missed that look.
This is a reasonably young Providence team with 4 freshmen in the rotation. Eddie Cooley is doing a really nice job of building a solid foundation.
Young, talented pieces. And we do welcome those of you joining us from that outstanding game in Connecticut. What a win for the Longhorns. Here we are at Rupp Arena, and
possession, but you know what? Message sent. And that's something that we've seen early in this game. Kentucky trying to protect the basket with the great shot blocking ability.
#1 ranked team in the country. The Wildcats have been dominant in the early season, but being challenged here in the early minutes by the Friars of Providence. More tough defense here, and somehow Cartwright saves it, but it's a shot clock violation and a Friars turnover.
All right. And right now, Providence playing with 3 of those freshmen we talked about. Ben Bentel, a promising young big guy, didn't recognize that the shot clock was running down.
Kentucky basketball down by 1, 8 minutes into the game. That alone is sort of an upset, the way they have dominated right from the start this year. Booker, who's been red hot, has missed his first 2 shots here this afternoon.
Well, we were at the shoot around yesterday, David. Ed Cooley is one of those old-fashioned New England hard-nosed guys, and he said, hey, we're going to make this a street fight as much as we can.
The top scorers in the country, LaDontae Henton, who has not been able to get free in the early going. Big man Carson DeRozier has played well in these first few minutes. Here is Henton with the shot clock winding down. He's going to launch from way outside and hit the 3.
Not a surprise. He's got tremendous versatility in his offensive arsenal. It's a very tough matchup because of all the things he can do on the offensive end.
Kentucky was doing a lot of specific game planning for him earlier this morning, getting ready for this game. Down low, Dakari Johnson back to the basket, draws a foul.
Very productive early in his sophomore season.
He is the guy down low. He's got some low post moves. He can be a true scorer back to the basket.
Well, I think so. I think in terms of the low post scoring, he may be their best low post scorer. Karl Anthony Towns is the most versatile scorer they have on that front line. Good ball hawking by Tyler Eulis.
Who's going to do a lot of that in his career. Great pass, though, and the freshman Chukwu lays it in from Chris Dunn.
This kid is 7'1" or so, and they don't expect a lot out of him this year, but watching him practice yesterday, he's got a chance to really develop into a terrific big guy.
Pascal Chukwu. So the Friars again with an answer. They lead by 4, almost halfway through the first half. Hello, Marcus Lee, who's not a great low post scorer. Here's Booker down the lane, layup good.
Well, I think if you're going to play Kentucky right now, you got to make them beat you over the top. And you can't let a guy like Booker, who's so good at knocking down the long ball, get into the lane and shoot that floater.
That field goal shooting excellent for the Friars, because especially Kentucky's field goal defense has been so good in the early going. Another lob and sort of intercepted on the way up there, but a foul against Kentucky.
Well, I got some ideas for you.
Well, we have a few thoughts potentially for a name for that second unit. The size that you have to deal with when you play Kentucky is incredible.
You see in this 2-3 zone now, you've got to shade Aaron Harrison, number 2, who has not shot the ball well in the early going, but that to me is just small sample size. You can't let the ball get in this deep.
Yeah, one dribble. Cauley Stein did miss the shot on a nice rebound attempt by Henton. Now Harris is pinned in the corner, but gets it out of there.
Tyler Harris, the transfer from NC State, and younger brother of Tobias Harris of the Orlando Magic, has really come into his own since transfer. He's a nice player.
Yeah, great basketball family.
The more of a threat Chris Dunn is at the rim, the more open his teammates will be. If I'm guarding him right now, I bluff at him and I get back to his teammates.
And Dunn, who is one of the real talented Friars, is not 100% healthy. He's dealing with an ankle problem. It was questionable whether he was going to play.
Well, think about this: the 2 shoulder surgeries. He's only played in, coming into this year, 40 games for the Friars. 2 years.
Up top, Aaron Harrison elevates, misses the shot. Cauley Stein, offensive rebound.
And back to man-to-man. No matchup out of this. Too much standing around right now by the white jerseys, you can see.
Well, Anthony Towns trying to post up against the shorter LaDontae Henton.
And now back to the matchup.
Yep. Friars being pretty smart about the way they're changing defenses. Poitras with the lob from Andrew Harrison.
Nice cut. Terrific dribble move into the lane. It throws that forward. Poitras able to sneak behind.
And even with all these great athletes around him, Alex Poitras still can really impress you with his pure athleticism. Bentel, one of those freshmen Fran was just talking about, swinging those elbows. Poitras right in his face playing defense. Dunn going all the way, and he scores off the glass.
Once you establish that with your strength and size that Chris Dunn can do and get to the rim, then the passing becomes easier. Great example right there. I think he realized he overpassed early.
Back to a 3-point lead for the Friars. Aaron Harrison with the left hand, no good. Rebound.
UMass in that old grade 8 tournament up in Pontiac, and then lost to Mississippi State in the SEC championship, went on and obviously won the Final Four. And this team's going to lose, I think, a couple, not many, but it's all about what happens in March for them.
And they do have a very challenging stretch of their schedule, really starting here today, but coming up in the next few weeks. The Wildcats will be tested. Here's DeRozier, who's got the range.
They do. You must establish that you're not going to be intimidated and you're going to stay in this game. And that's what they've done so far. And Tyler and their teammates now in Orlando, Tobias and Channing Frye.
And both playing well.
Both playing well.
Tobias Harris has turned into a nice NBA player.
Sure has.
Now the Friars are going to show that zone look here against this second unit. We're still working on that nickname for them, but the second 5 for the Wildcats, who are really being challenged, and maybe you might say for the first time all year.
Well, you know, the Buffalo game they trailed at half, but I think for the most part, And this is good. And we heard John Calipari tell his team yesterday, guys, I hope this is a close game because I want to find out what you're made of. I'm not sure I believed it. I'm not sure I still believe it, but if it happens, it's a good thing.
Yeah, we may find out whether he was really telling the truth. DeRozier will hand off to Henton. A step back contested 2. Rebound Lyles. Tyler Ulis, number 3, ultra quick point guard. And a good defensive play by Chris Dunn to steal it away.
Well, that's what Chris Dunn does. He is, when he's healthy, we haven't seen much of that in his career, but he is an elite defender. He's got great size for a point guard. If he could improve his outside shooting, he has a chance to continue to play after college.
The bounce pass, not a good one. Stolen away by Lyles, and then a foul.
Who really needs to be a go-to scorer for Thad Matta, and he has been. And then Montrezl Harrell, who is likely a first-team All-American, the junior in the midst of an outstanding Louisville Cardinal career. And by the way, he signed at Virginia Tech for a guy named Seth Greenberg. Seth left for greener pastures, and so did Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah, the Hokies fans may be wondering what if. That's a turnover and a sloppy one for Providence, leading 19-15 with just over 5 minutes to go until halftime.
Now, if there's one Achilles heel for Kentucky, they don't have many, is they don't have a small forward. Their front line in the platoons is basically 3. No, I have always advocated jokingly that you can make trades in college.
Yes.
You know, like, you know, maybe Duke would trade one of their guards, Quinn Cook or, you know, or Tyus Jones for a little more size. And obviously, they're not going to do that. Good look.
It's not just the passing ability, Fran, but the ability to use that quickness on defense.
No question.
Really a fun player to watch, and it's the challenge for the Wildcats. How do you get minutes, production, keep everybody happy? So far, it hasn't been a challenge. All these kids have bought in, and the Wildcats have played beautifully.
I'll tell you what, yesterday at practice, incredible camaraderie.
Look at Ulis harassing his fellow freshman, Kyron Cartwright. That shot blocked. Cartwright, great defense from the little guy. Ulis leading the break, almost lost the handle.
See, and right now, when you look at this team, if you shade the guards and back off the bigs, you know, you don't have a lot of answers. You just don't want this guy to get into the paint.
Ulis does get there and scores.
Yeah. And it's the old story when you play Kentucky. It's like a leaky boat. You can stick your finger in the dike somewhere, but there'll be other leaks that spring when you try to take away some things.
Dunn on the move, finds DeRozier.
Dream job. Assistant long time at Rhode Island, Boston College for Al Skinner. Did a great job at Fairfield. And you know what? He's been embraced by the Friar community, and it's a tough crowd. They love their basketball there. It's got rich tradition.
They do. They have tremendous tradition. They've had some of the greatest college players in history come through Providence College.
You're absolutely right. Of course, Dave Gavitt, the legendary wins over the top 25. Villanova looks like a team that can play with anybody in the country. Jay Wright's got a nice veteran club.
Yeah, it's not just gaudy records for Big East teams. It's some signature wins. What a move, Cauley Stein.
What you love about that, I mentioned it earlier, they spend a lot of time in practice at Kentucky working on basic fundamentals. There's the little guy from behind. I was really impressed with how much time they spend in practice just with basic fundamentals the last couple of days. Watch the lob.
Tip up, no good. Can the Friars get a rebound? Not so far on this trip.
You know, that looked like the shot pass right there. I saw Poitras come out of the corner.
It did. Great look, Towns with the flood.
Hard. It has been hard. Potential coaching change, hate to say it, and high hopes for Rex Ryan.
And a lot of wins under Rex Ryan, but these days the wins are hard to come by.
You see what Mark Sanchez did this Thanksgiving?
It doesn't make him look good. It doesn't.
Well, they tried to go backdoor. Second time tonight they've tried to go backdoor on Kentucky, and Kentucky scouted and smelled it out.
I think Ulis has changed this game defensively, and that's a 5
on both ends.
Well, for the moment, he sits down on the bench, but Tyler Ulis has made a huge impact. Look at the turnover numbers for Chris Dunn. He's already committed 7 turnovers in the first half. And this is a very good ball handler, a high school All-American, talented kid. Towns attacking. Second foul, so he goes to the bench. At the moment, we don't have the strict platoon, and as games go on, I don't think you're just going to always see 5 on, 5 off.
You know, if I'm John Calipari, there's going to look at this. Look at this pressure.
Ulis again.
This guy will likely be a part of it.
Kentucky fans sure appreciate the effort. Now on the baseline, another foul.
And make it really tough to start the second half.
Going to halftime, let your cut man do some work and try to survive.
Exactly, and they have to this point. This would be a big possession.
Dunn is just having all kinds of problems. A 6-0 run for the Wildcats, up by 4. Dunn attacks against Ulis, missed the shot, got his own miss. Officially in the country, points per game. Dunn, 2 big free throws for Chris Dunn.
You're in a huge minute 10 right now, if you're Eddie Cooley. They go to the zone again. Got to be aware of Booker.
I think the Friars would love if this was just a 2-possession game before halftime. And that's it.
By the way, Booker's now in there with the Harrison, so they've kind of changed up the platoon a little bit to put another shooter on the floor.
They have situationally. John Calipari using his bench a little differently. What a move for Aaron Harrison.
I know it's been pointed out a number of times this year, but watching practice yesterday, completely different Harrison twins that I saw in high school at times with the body language. It's all been well documented. Andrew Harrison was like an assistant coach yesterday at practice with the younger guys.
I think Ed Cooley wants his Friars to use up a lot of clock here. That's what they're doing. There's Henton with Stein right in his face. What defense? Rebound Lyles.
I think you got to drive the big guy.
Here is Andrew Harrison to his brother. Aaron has it poked away. Clock winding down. Jumper 10 minutes. Kentucky had trailed for a grand total of like 15 minutes all season coming into this one.
And here's the white unit now starting the second half with Ulis.
That's right. That was a whistle very quick.
Needs.
And I would say particularly with Cauley Stein on the bench.
And Marcus Lee's a long guy too, but you got to drive those guys. And a year ago, these teams met in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, and Kentucky held Henton to 7 points, 5 rebounds.
Well, he gets a touch here right away. You know that was emphasized in the Providence locker room.
You see where Marcus Lee forced him to his right hand. That's good scouting report defense.
Dunn, crossover move against Ulis, goes to the basket, missed the shot. Lee grabs the rebound. Good look though for Chris Dunn. Dakari Johnson fouled on the way. Gets a good point for a guy who is one of the top 5 scorers in the country right now. Dakari Johnson's got a little thing going at the free throw line. And John Calipari has talked about it. He is not a bad free throw shooter in practice. In the games, it's not been good. Dunn loses the ball, scramble.
And right now he's a little bit out of control, and he needs to settle down if Providence is to win this game.
Well, I'm assuming he's going to be charged with his 8th turnover of the game. This is a guy who's considered one of the better ball handlers in the country. Ulis down the lane.
With these big bodies.
He has. I wasn't sure he could do it. The 7-footer, the Wake Forest transfer, has had some moments this year where he's not played real tough guy basketball. That was one of those sort of lob pass hybrids. No good. Henton grabbed the rebound. Sometimes with this Kentucky team, you don't know. They have so many guys who can go up at the rim and get it. Dunn pulls up for the jumper. Way too short. Kentucky basketball. It's funny, Rupp Arena is packed, 23,000 plus. Lyles too strong. Cauley Stein in with this second group. Have it for you. Tennessee and Marquette in that holiday tournament.
Oh, Big 12 in a matter of minutes had 2 big wins today. Texas on the road at UConn and Storrs, and then Kansas beating a good Michigan State team in Orlando. Kansas bouncing back. They got throttled by Kentucky at the Champions Classic.
Yeah, it was ugly for the Jayhawks, who are not used to that kind of beating. Here's Lindsey, the freshman. Wild shot way off the glass. Lindsey tracks down the mid.
They beat a good Yale team, Providence, on Friday afternoon without Dunn and Lindsey. I know it was a game that concerned Ed Cooley, but he felt those guys needed to rest and be ready for this game. And certainly neither one has had a huge factor, been a huge factor in this game so far.
This guy has been. Tyler Harris, step back jumper, no good. Long rebound. DeRozier hustles and gets after it. New shot clock for the Friars. It'll be Cartwright to set things up.
How about Kyron Cartwright, freshman from Compton, California? He's played lots of minutes so far.
He has not one of the more heralded members of that freshman class, but he's played probably the most of anybody. He went a long way from home to Providence. Shot clock winding down. Friars offense tough going these last many minutes. DeRozier three is good.
Remember early in the game when he hit that three, and we thought that if he could stretch Kentucky's bigs away from the basket, it would certainly give Ed Cooley another weapon, and he's done that.
Well, Providence is hanging around. They're down one. Now more than 3 minutes into the second half. One dribble. Lyles missed the shot. Foul.
The second half with a chance, and the pressure then switches a little bit onto the team that's supposed to win and win easily.
When you mentioned a game earlier this year where Buffalo had a lead against Kentucky, and the Wildcats sort of slept-walked through that first half, but then it happened very quickly. Poitras on the outlet with the dunk finish.
Now that's another unforced turnover, essentially, that leads to an easy run out.
Can't happen against the top-ranked team in the country.
See, right now they're not even locating Hinton in the offense. He's been erased by Willie Cauley-Stein.
Amazing. One of the top scorers in the country, hardly touching the ball. Johnson makes his move with the left hand. And Ed Cooley wants it. Don't look great, but it is interesting how he didn't expect to have this problem. That sort of led to this whole system.
Well, I would say necessity is the mother of invention, because he didn't expect to have Poitras, Willie Cauley-Stein, the Harrison twins back. When they all elected not to go to the NBA draft, he had a plethora of riches, and they tried the platoon system in the Bahamas on their exhibition tray, among other things, as a marketing genius. And he's marketed this platoon system perfectly. I don't expect them most improved players in college basketball in the last decade. They'll match up a little bit, I would bet. You know, Kaminsky's really Bo Ryan center. Jahlil Okafor very light on his feet for a young guy that size. Great poise. I think he's going to go very, very high next June, if not one, certainly in the top three.
Some of these Kentucky kids may compete for that top spot. Dunn had his shot blocked. Got the miss back. Still 10 seconds to shoot for the Friars, whose offense is really struggling. Here's Hinton attacking against Cauley-Stein. No good. Tip up. Also no good. Rebound Wildcats.
But I like the aggressiveness now. Hinton had to do that with the clock running down.
And so far this year.
Well, they have not trailed in a game with 13 minutes to go or less.
Towns makes his move. The freshman missed the shot.
This is, you know, talking to Ed Cooley and knowing him for a long time, he's got that New England toughness, the grittiness, and he's got his team playing that way.
Well, I think the Friars are happy with the way this game is being played. Their offense needs to pick it up. It's been a while. Hinton finds a small opening and airballed it.
Well, you're talking about a 7-1 defender in Willie Cauley-Stein, who moves his feet well.
The lob, Towns lays it in with the foul.
Played at Duke University.
Yeah, those are two pretty good ones. But Karl Anthony Towns, super talented. Kentucky on a 7-0 run. They lead by 8.
Let me clarify, by the way. Jay Williams was a hell of a college player.
He was.
So we're just playing with Jay right now. Former National Player of the Year. Karl Towns is, if he gets similar accolades this year, he'll have had a great year.
Cauley-Stein everywhere on defense, suffocating for the Wildcats this afternoon. Dunn to the basket. Dunn layup, challenge, no good. And Kentucky looking to run. Aaron Harrison slows up. Friars defense got back.
That's a better move by Chris Dunn. I'd love to see him continue to go to the rim. That was well read. Pick and roll. Defender went under. He just re-screened.
Harrison, maybe a little contact, no whistle. Rebound, Providence.
Danger zone right now for Providence. They need a couple buckets.
One for their last 16, and finally one goes down. Even that from short range was not easy.
Well, Ben Bentel, the freshman, he looks like some of those Friars of old. The Troy Browns, the Michael Smiths, Dickie Simpkins.
He does. He looks the part, that's
Yep.
for sure. Another highly regarded player coming to this Providence program. Poitras from inside the three-point line. Short. Rebound. DeRozier, who's playing a nice game.
He sure has. This is another big possession. Just want to get this game down to 4. As Kentucky's white unit gets set to check in.
DeRozier against the freshman Town. So the senior working on the freshman with the right hand. Rebound Harris. Fouled.
Their fan bases that will chime in too. I can guarantee it.
Some potential nicknames we won't be sharing with you over the air.
We're good too. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Lyles on the perimeter. That second unit in. Cauley Stein stays in. No, and he made that look easy.
Carl Towns is going to go in the top 3, but NBA scouts, you know, Cauley Stein is an enigma. At times he's Tyson Chandler, other times he's invisible. John Calipari told us yesterday he thinks as good as they are now, they can be even better if he steps up.
Ulis has already gotten a 5-second call in this game. Bento tried to dunk it home, missed it. Here comes Ulis, so quick in the open court. Finds his teammate Lyles baseline. Bad miss. Had a pretty good look. Chukwu, the freshman big man, grabbed the board.
I can't wait to see Chukwu in a couple of years. Pascal Chukwu, 7'2". He moves so well. Bentel's going to learn that you got to go in and slam that, and you're not going to get bailed out.
Here's the freshman down low. Got kind of cut off, but scored anyway.
I'm telling you, he had a move against Yale in limited minutes that really impressed me. And he's done a nice job. I think he's going to play more as the season goes on.
In what could be a rugged Big East conference. Off to a great start this year.
2-3 zone's been pretty good, Dave, hasn't it?
It has. The Wildcats haven't made a lot of outside shots. Here's a guy who can make them. Devin Booker. Left his.
Credit Providence's defense because they have turned this game into, a fist fight in the mud.
It just hasn't been pretty. Kentucky, who's got a streak of hitting at least 1 3 in a game going back to 1988. And they have not hit a three-point bucket. The Friars have defended the perimeter well.
Watch the 3 here. That's a set play.
And Stein was just all over it. Willie Cauley-Stein would not let Henton get any space.
Oh,
Good
nice
look. And Bentel had it blocked from behind by Poitras. Ulis finds in transition Devin Booker. Now Poitras on the perimeter trying to get it inside. Does to Johnson. One dribble. Stein tips it in.
Nicely done. Willie Cauley-Stein patrolling the backside. He smelled that miss, tipped it in. I'll tell you what, Ben Bentel's going to learn a lot from the videotape because with that body, he's going to learn he needs to play a little bit stronger against this level of competition. Look at Cauley-Stein.
Big man out in the open floor, but he missed the layup. Ulis missed it, and Cauley-Stein tried to tip it in. Ulis uses the backboard, and that one finally spins down.
Cauley-Stein on the breakaway. Ulis dominating the glass.
That's exactly how we figured it would go down. Now Cauley-Stein comes over for the double team. Just simple passes aren't easy against this Kentucky defense.
Lexington Police Department's going to be out here after the game and get Ulis for harassment because that's about what he's done to Providence today.
He changed the game in the first half. Now Henton traveled. Now Tyler Ulis with the handle, bringing it up for the #1 ranked team in the country. Being tested today by a very spunky Providence team. It's come on the road. Booker, long way out. Good!
And we saw him make 20 straight from a spot at the shoot-around at 9 o'clock this morning.
Henton does get one away. No good. Rebound, Johnson. Ulis loves to run. Poitras layup good. Time
earlier said, listen, the platoon system is going to be flexible. And when they get into some close games and they see zone, you're going to see a lot of Devin Booker.
Wildcats making it hard for Providence even to bring the ball across midcourt. 9-0 run for the #1 ranked team in the country. Foul on Johnson over the top. Some good things in the early season. Dave O'Brien, Dick Vitale getting ready for that one.
Yeah, BYU Tennessee Vols, young man he's from Tulsa. He's had a really good career. First Conzo Martin and now Donnie Kendall, excuse me.
Here's Dunn into the lane. Bentel, the freshman, misses another one from close range.
He'll learn. That's about the 4th easy miss.
Look at the shot blocking ability. Even when they don't get the basketball, they impact everything. Friars can't even score at the rim now. Their offense has been totally shut down. Booker really thought about pulling the trigger on that one. Didn't do it. Ulis lob and DeRozan.
Love it. Is that a great nickname?
It's one of the all-time great nicknames and a fun guy to visit with. Even when Kentucky misses free throws, the Wildcats keep possession. Starting to wear down the Friars, it feels like, here in the second half. 7 minutes to go. Providence led for a violation. Just an ordinary turnover. Chris Dunn, number 3, talented kid. He's had too many of those in this game for Providence. Most of those have come when Ulis is matched up against Dunn. Here's Harris in the lane. That's a nice move.
Sure is. Hey, this is a good Providence team. They've got a ways to go now to climb back in this game. Haven't shown the ability to score a lot of points versus defense. But you look at Hinton and Harris, DeRozan. Dunn is going to get healthy.
Towns might have gotten shoved a little bit on that shot. There was no whistle.
We've seen Chris Dunn not at 100% today. Jalen Lindsey, the outstanding freshman. We've only seen a cameo from him because of his ankle injury.
Well, the top scorers in the country, LaDontae Henton, has been shut down basically. He's the 7-footer. That
pro day in October where 90 NBA scouts were there to see these guys run up and down, all designed with helping a team that needs to be unselfish this season. Get them to understand it's not about the numbers, because NBA teams know a lot about these guys individually.
Isn't it interesting, too, another whistle against Coach Cal, because he loves the efficiency numbers, the per 40-minute, the percentages. That's how he sells his kids on, hey, the overall numbers may not look big, but you're doing a great job.
Exactly. All part of the plan.
Harrison, 3. He's had a relatively quiet start to this year after the monster and
hot and cold all year, and then at the end of the year, what you got to give them credit for is how much poise they played with. You know, the first tournament team ever to win 4 straight games by 5 points or less. That doesn't happen by accident.
They were the youngest team in the country last year. They're still one of the youngest with all the freshmen, but they have experience.
This feels like an old Kentucky team.
Yeah, this group of old guys for the Wildcats out there.
Couple juniors, couple sophomores.
Here is the other Harrison. Andrew launched one up. Not a great shot. Dunn has it stolen away, and Andrew dunks it home. They took a questionable shot and made up for it with hustle and defense.
That's why I mentioned a year ago, a lot of us, and I was in that mix, that weren't sure about whether they could be great teammates. And watching practice yesterday, watching them play early in the year, I don't think there's any question they both matured, and the effort level is really good.
That was nearly a travel and a turnover. That is a turnover, a steal by Andrew. Cauley Stein mishandled.
This has been overwhelming.
It's suffocating.
Yeah.
And by the end of a game, the other team just is worn out by it. Every pass, every dribble is contested. Every shot, even from point-blank range, is a tough shot against these Wildcats. You think of that defense they had a couple years ago when they won their national title with Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Paulie Stein not going to miss that one. Man, way up above the rim.
And they worked on that yesterday, Providence, about being able to play that big guy in the high post. And that's one they'll adjust to when they break down the videotape.
Cartwright, they're just giving him the three. He'll take it and miss it. Rebounds. Henton off the inbound play. Missed the shot. Paulie Stein, maybe another one. Harrison dunks it himself.
Harrison said, I got to get my numbers up.
Forget the per 40-minute stats.
Yeah.
I want some points. Well, it's amazing. The Friars were a very game opponent coming here into this hostile environment, and yet they're down 19 with 3 minutes to go.
Well, big thing is 18 turnovers, and a lot of those have led to runouts. I think that's 23 points now off turnovers. Because at this point, I think both teams look like they could easily be one seeds. You know, a guy that's really improved for Wisconsin is Nigel Hayes. They're starting the big lineup: Decker, Hayes, Kaminsky, and Nigel Hayes is really impressed me. He worked on his jump shot this summer. He's multi-talented offensively.
Yeah, big-time player.
Yeah, no question.
He's a kid who could hang with the Wildcats athletically.
Well, that whole front line camp,
yeah.
You know, and that was a heck of a game in the semifinal of the NCAA tournament between Wisconsin and Kentucky, and I think you may see that matchup again at some point.
Feels like it. Here's a three on the way. Aaron Harrison missed that one. Lyles tracked down the rebound. Aaron a pass. Johnson the plug.
And that's the other thing about you have to keep coaching here, and I think just because of the day-to-day pressure of the great expectations and just a great fan base here.
I think all the success he's had, you may have to update that line. $3,000 suit, maybe have to go up to $5,000.
Well, you know, I don't know what a $3,000 suit looks like, but I know John does.
Well, final 2 minutes plus here. Providence, I think they can be real proud with the way they came out and competed against this powerhouse team. But ultimately, really the story, the defense just suffocating. Towns had a hard time.
You know, I mentioned the idea of it being a prize fight. And I think this fight went 10 solid rounds.
Yep.
And then we saw a technical knockout. But Kentucky was pushed and extended a little bit more than we've seen in most of their first 6 games previously.
Ultimately, those punches, the cuts just took their toll. Providence just got worn down in the second half.
You mentioned Ellen Calipari. You think of the coaches' wives. Eddie Cooley's wife, Maris, is on the trip today.
She worked hard over Thanksgiving.
53 people she fed, didn't she?
That's a big number. Cartwright back outside. Shot clock winding down. He launches. I guess he got a piece of.
Provide a good meal, and well, it's a thankless job.
Maybe sometimes the kids would rather talk to her than him.
Oh, there's no question. No question.
Ulis had it blocked from behind, gets it right back from Marcus Lee. Well, the Wildcats, it's not going to be easy, Fran, in these next few weeks. They make it look easy at times, but Texas is coming in.
Yes, I mean that's going to be that's going to be a terrific battle of maybe the 2 best front lines, or 3 best front lines in the country. Throw Wisconsin in there as well.
Ulis runner goes.
Duke's front line isn't bad with not only Okafor, Justice Winslow's been outstanding, and Neil Jefferson. So good battle for Kentucky.
Yep.
Texas without Isaiah Taylor, broken left wrist. That'll be probably a month in the healing.
Still got a win on the road even without him today in Stores. Impressive for the former Providence coach Rick Barnes. That ball knocked away. Poitras is just going to hold it up, and Kentucky with the shot clock off will watch the final seconds tick off here at Rupp Arena. Well, it was not spectacular. We saw some dunks, some lobs, some individual spectacular plays, but Coach Cal's team, they had to gut it out today against Providence. Ultimately, they end up coasting to a 20-point win.
We expected excellent defense from Kentucky. We saw it. Lot to learn for Eddie Cooley's young Providence team. Some promise. And picked 5th in the Big East.